Hey, this is Little Talk with Big Nikki.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back for another episode of Little Talks with Big Nikki. We have one of the bestest people. I don't even know if bestest is a word.
It is now.
It is now. This is Kate, everybody.
Hi, guys.
And Kate, we met at King's Church, which is such a crazy blessing.
Yeah.
She's like one of, in my mind, one of the most respected people in my life. I adore her and love her. And we met it was
greeting together.
It was greeting, but we didn't even meet in person at first. So
in our greeting group chat.
In our group chat. So we had a group meet for all of the First Impressions team.
Yeah.
If no one knows what First Impressions is, we're out there with signs, waving at cars and greeting you as you walk into the church.
For the first people that you see, we're the first impression that you get when you walk to church.
So hopefully you like us. But yeah, so we did. Well, you just joined, and then you were in the group, and then she posted something like, "Hey guys, I just started a blog," and I was like, "Yo, what?" Because I had just been doing this for 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
So I messaged her separately on GroupMe, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I do a vlog, I'm so excited." I was just excited for her, did not even know her at all.
And I had no clue what I was doing. I was just like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna do this."
I know. Well, and I told her, I was like, "Don't be scared. It's gonna be intimidating because it's a lot to learn on your own and set the website up or for me, it's learning how to
I did all
the
that
camera.
on my own.
Yeah, it's you're by yourself. You're trying to figure this stuff out. So I was like, "Yo, just if I can do anything for you, I'm so down." And I was just starting photography.
Yeah.
And I kind of mentioned oh, if you need photos, and I was like, okay, nothing's gonna come of this. And then she messaged me 3 weeks later, and she's like, actually, can I get some pictures done? Because I don't have any of just me. And I was like, yeah, of course. So then we did a photo shoot together, and now she's my small group leader.
Yeah.
God,
and I love you.
I love you. And we're twinning. If you're watching this,
we're
jean jackets, black
pants.
This is the look. This is a vibe.
We did not plan this.
We did not plan this. We showed up at small group and we both just looked like this. So
perfect.
Perfect. But I want you to tell people, of course, what you want, but about your story. Because I need you guys listening and watching this to understand why I freaking love her so much. And why she's one of my heroes. But
gosh, thanks. Well, so I'm Kate. I am 28. I'm currently a single mom of 2. My son Camden is almost 7.
Aww. And
my daughter Elena just turned 3.
Baby Elena. But
I was with their dad for almost 10 years. We met our senior year of high school. And long story short, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
It wasn't what we wanted. We grew apart. We had a lot of different opinions on things. And we worked really hard at it for a very long time. And ultimately, I made a decision, and I just felt God very clearly tell me it was time to move on from that.
Yeah.
So at the time we lived in Columbus, and I, in a week, packed up our stuff and moved the kids back to this area. And I've been living this life now as a single mom and working full time for the first time ever after being a stay-at-home mom for 5.5 years. But in that process, I grew a really strong relationship with Christ for the first time in my whole life. I became, as an adult, a Christian and had a relationship with Christ about a year before I left that marriage and that relationship. And then I've just been seeking my faith and who Christ is and who I am in Him, and really have learned to love my life and to be just thankful for this opportunity to really live a second life. It's another chance at redoing my life. For me and for my kids.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been up to. I I started sharing I wanted to share my heart with others, because I just turned 28, so I feel like there wasn't anyone that I knew going through the same thing. Most of my friends are just getting engaged, just getting married.
And you're almost on like the opposite.
Yes, we had our son. I was young. I got pregnant when I was 20, had him at 21. None of my friends had kids.
Yeah.
I met mom friends after I had him, but none of my close friends had kids, and I did that alone.
Yeah.
And then got married. I was the first out of all my friends to get married. I got married at 23, had our daughter by 24. And no one knew what I was going through. So when I got divorced,
no one knew what you were going through.
No one knew what I was going through. I felt very alone. It was a very dark 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
And we've talked about too, like, people were shocked. Family of mine had no clue the things that I personally was going through, and it was just a very dark season in my life where I made everything look perfect.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, I didn't want to live in like a fake fairy tale my whole life. I needed to have a real life love for myself and life for my kids, and I needed to figure that out. And that was the best way that I knew I could. So that's why I started my blog, Chaos with Kate, really just for therapy for myself.
Yes.
And for, like, to share my heart. Like, I didn't do it to gain 1,000 followers. Yeah. I think I don't even have 400 now. I just figured whoever God needed to hear what I've been through,
amen,
would hear it. Whether that was one person or 100 people.
Yeah.
If I just reached one person that needed to know that they were enough in Christ.
Yes.
And that divorce doesn't define you, and that even as a Christian, sometimes God's calling you to different freedom than what other people would like to think that you have to have as a Christian. And I wouldn't say that that's like a do-all for everybody. Like, you know, but when you're just in an ungodly relationship, that God doesn't always see that as your forever.
Yeah. And
so I just started that as a whim. Like, I don't post every day. I just post when something's on my heart.
Yeah.
But it's led me to a lot of good opportunities, and I've met an overflowing amount of people that have reached out to me that are going through the same thing or are in marriages at my age that
they don't know if they
have faked their perfect life on social media. And there's some people that I'm like, what? Not so you guys shocked. Too. Yeah. Like, I'm just as shocked. Like, I had people reaching out to me even a year after I left, and they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
They're still so shocked because I made everything look so perfect for so long. People would say, like, I wanted your relationship. Like, what do you mean you guys had problems?
Yeah.
So I'm hearing, like, the reverse side of that now, even from people I went to high school with, complete strangers.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, I'm in this spot. How did you know?
Yeah.
And I guess for me, it's like, pray about it, because God will give you the answer. I don't think I didn't come up with that answer on my own.
Yeah.
I just clearly felt God say, like, go. Yeah. So it's been like 2 years now, and I've just been serving the church and serving the God that gave me the second chance. Amen. And trying to do his work and figuring out, like, why what I went through, what purpose I have in that.
Yes. The purpose in the pain.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say that. What God is anointing you to do with what you've been through. Yeah. Instead of questioning that why. Yeah. It should be a what, not a why.
Yeah. Because sometimes you'll never know why. You literally, I mean, maybe when you get to heaven.
And I almost know my why now.
Oh, yeah.
It's been 2 years, and I can clearly see, like,
when you come out of it,
already,
you understand.
The love I have for myself now. The love that I feel like I'm a better mom now. I feel like I have, you know, the friendships I've made. Yeah. The people that I'm helping out.
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's crazy. I would do that 10 years
All over again to love myself and to have such appreciation for what I've been through. Yeah.
That has led me here.
Yeah. I think we kind of talked about this in the small group today, but it's the thought of like being redeemed almost by your situation. Like, so you go through these stages where you're like, I'm not going to let this define me. Like you said, like, I'm not just like a divorced, like, mom, like that.
Right.
That is not my identity. I'm sure it was for a while.
Oh yeah.
And you struggle through that, but you end up like moving through these stages, and then like you get to a point like you are now, like even I am now going through what I went through, like where you're like, I am so thankful for that. I am not the same person.
Right.
And like, it's for the better.
And for the years, even before leaving, I would just pray like, God, why don't I love myself? Why am I not strong enough? Like, what's going to make me strong enough? Like, give me that strength. Tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. And it took years. And it's funny, like, looking back now, you know, I used to say, like, I'm a mom and I am a wife, period. And last weekend, my family came up and my stepmom said, like, what, like, who are you? Like, you say you know who you are, and who are you? Like, what are things that you are? And the first two things I said, it was like, I'm strong, I'm brave, I'm a hard worker, I am worthy of things, I am enough for myself. I started listing all these things off, and then I was like, I'm a great mom, you know, all these things after I said that. And she looked at me and she goes, 2 years ago you said I'm a mom and I'm a wife. Period. The first thing you just said is that you're strong.
And don't put a period where God wants to put a comma.
Because I'm so much more, I love being a mom.
And it's
and I want to be a wife, like, at some point. Like, I feel like that
you have that desire.
That's a desire in my heart. I don't want to be a single mom for forever. But those aren't the first things that I am.
Definitely not.
So it's
I think too, you just like read me. Can I tell the people what your news? Kate is in a book, y'all. A published book. What's the title of it?
It's called The Struggle is Real: Confessions of a Single Mother. It's the 3rd series. There's been 2 others before this one.
I love it.
But even through my blog, and as I said, like, I don't have 1,000 followers. I don't even have 500. I don't even have 400. But it's funny who will find you and who God will lead to you in the connections. And I have a great friend that I've become friends with that also talks about heartbreak and singleness and being a Christian. But then I also had a publisher reach out to me who was starting up a publishing company. She's been an author before, and she is like constructs this book. She did the first 2, and then she was finding other co-authors and other single moms, and she found my blog. And so through that, I've formed a good relationship with her, and she like offered for me to just be included in it. And for me, it was such another source of like an outlet and freedom to be able to share
your story.
Not only my story, but like advice to other single moms. But for me, it was just like this freedom of like getting it out there. And as I said, if that just helps one other person, then like that was God's will for me to do that. But I'm really excited. It just like launched this week, and like they're not really even fully printed yet, but pre-orders came out. And
a pre-order.
And
where can they pre-order?
So right now they can just pre-order through me, and then at the beginning of the year it'll be on Amazon. But I was just having people email me through my chaoswithkate@gmail. And then they can just like pay me directly and I can order it. And then it'll be on Amazon at the beginning. But
that's crazy.
I should have like an actual copy in my hand by Thanksgiving.
I'm so excited.
Which is super, super excited.
I'm so excited.
And I'm also excited like, I don't know the other co-authors.
Mm.
I just have a chapter in it. And then other single moms have their own chapters. So I don't know them. I've never met them. I just did my part.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to read like their journeys. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what they've been through. I don't know what they wrote in it.
Yeah.
All I can say is like what my story is. So I don't know like how they view certain people.
Mhm.
I can't like contest for that. My part's my part.
Yeah. And she just read me her part before we just like.
You're the first and only person that has read my part.
I'm so honored, guys. And I was like getting teary-eyed. I was
I haven't even read it to my parents.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. I'm so honored.
Because I want them to buy my book.
Buy the book. But yeah, so this is why I love Kate. And I just saw like so much of me in you, which is so weird because like I'm younger than you,
Mhm.
but I saw like so much of you in me when you said like, oh, I'm starting this blog, and like as I like talked to you about it, and I
Yeah.
saw your heart, because that's how I am like with this project. I mean, like I'm a podcast now, which is crazy in less than a
I'm
year.
so excited for you.
Thank you. Just got on iHeartRadio.
It's crazy like seeing like what God's done in my life in 2 years.
Yeah.
And like I just think like what's another 2 years gonna look for in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm almost 30. So seeing you at your age and knowing like when I was your age, I was already a mom and planning my wedding.
Yeah. She's
Like seeing what you are doing in your life at your age is like inspiring for me.
yeah.
Because it just makes me excited to know you too.
Yeah.
And I just had a friend of mine, we worked together years ago, even before I had my son. And she saw like I had posted on Facebook about, you know, the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the lead author,
Mm.
she posted my biography that's going to be in it before
Gotcha.
my chapter. And she said, you have always been such a light, no matter what you've done in your life and what you've gone through,
Mhm.
you've still had such a light, and I'm just proud to know you.
Yeah.
And like that's how I feel about you too, because I see like
She's gonna make me cry, guys. She's gonna make me cry.
we're just having a moment.
We're just
sorry.
having a moment.
But like I see so much of like who you can become and what like I wish I had like the bravery to stand up for myself at that age.
Mhm. Yeah.
That I'm finally getting now,
Now.
later on, but seeing that you have that now is pretty cool.
Yeah. I hope I don't lose it, but I know I have like a lot of life left to live, but
Yeah.
that's like what I love about you, because I'm like, okay, like you are a mom, like you have gone through a divorce, so I feel like, God forbid, like whatever might happen in my life, like
Yeah.
as a woman, I'm like, okay, Kate like got it like together and she came through like with God, and I'm like, okay, so like God forbid, like
And
whatever
with
might
God.
happen with God.
Because it was not by myself,
Myself.
I promise
Girl,
that.
I know.
Everyone's like, how do you get by? Like, what do you do every day? Like, I'm like, God. And like, there are some people that are like, you realize you're strong too. Like,
Yeah.
you realize that like, yeah, I'm glad that like God's done this for you, but you have to realize that you are strong. And like, I get that to
But
sense.
who gave me that strength?
Right.
Because I didn't become like this overnight by myself.
No.
This was 6 months of me. I call it me, myself, and God.
Yeah, that's a word in itself, girl. Me, myself, and God.
Yeah, taking the Beyonce title. But it was like, you know, you have to go through that like period, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you had that period too, because it's like, I have never been more myself, more confident
Oh yeah.
in who I am as a person. I know all my flaws. Like, I'm a type 1, y'all. You don't have to tell
I'm a 2.
You don't have to tell me like what my flaws are. I already know. And it's like, as much as there's things you need to fix, it also is a point of like, this is who I am. Like, I
Yeah.
accept me for me.
Well, and for me, like, I'm a 2. Like, I'm a very strong, like, 2. I want to help everybody else out, and I do. And even through, like, that 10 years, any one of my friends could say, like, no matter how I felt,
You were there for them.
I was there for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no matter how our relationship was, I was there for his career.
Mm.
No matter, you know, I was always there I was there for everybody else.
Accept yourself.
Except for me, and it was hard to know, like, I have
You have
to do this for me.
Yeah.
And
because they say you can't pour out unless you're poured in.
And my cup was
give
dry.
and give.
I didn't have just an empty cup. I mean, there was not a drop in that cup.
Because who was filling you?
Nobody.
No one.
And when I also like have shared my testimony and stuff on my blog too, and at some local churches where I just share like my testimony and go in depth more about like that. But how in my relationship with Christ, finding that relationship with him a year before I left, it was really finding him and him leading me for a year to get that strength and to say, God, I have nothing and I'm gonna have absolutely nothing. I hadn't worked for 5.5 years for the most part. I mean, I went to cosmetology school somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah.
But I hadn't worked. I stayed at home. You know, I didn't have my own money. I had nothing. And I said, okay, God, like if this is what you want,
you'll provide.
You tell me you're going to provide. And I just had like an ounce of faith that was true. That's all you need. And I didn't have like, oh yeah, he's really gonna do. Like I was terrified. Yeah. I'm a human. Like I was scared out of my mind. Like that this was not gonna work out.
And newsflash for all of y'all, Christians still have doubts.
Yeah.
It's not like we think God said
I was
something.
like, you say you're going to, like, haha, okay, yes.
It's maybe faith. 50-50 faith. Both Mike Todd and Stephen Furtick preached on both of those titles, but it's, you really don't know. You're like, I think
I trust you enough. And really had only been a Christian for a year. Like, I couldn't tell you scriptures besides a few.
Yeah.
But like in a few that like my grandma raised me on. But like I knew that I had to try to have that faith. And that he honestly has showed me through every single day. And time again, I do think I'm strong. I do think I'm brave for doing what I did. But if it wasn't for Christ providing, and if it wasn't for him showing me every month, especially when my bills were due every month,
amen,
that he was going to be the one that was going to show me his faithfulness and his promises were going to be kept if I just said yes.
Yeah.
And he did that. And he continues to do that.
The obedience has to come before the miracle. That's the problem, is like so many of us, myself included, you want like the miracle, you want the blessings, but it's like, have you been obedient?
I know.
So like I struggle with this, like with my finances.
Yes, we've talked about
this, and like we said just like last week, I think we were like, why do we keep worrying when every single time he comes through? Like how many times does he have to part the Red Sea? But it's okay, and that's crazy you just said that.
Because I tell people all the time, and this is where like the church that we go to just like got me right away. And that's when I'm like, I'm
King's
home.
Church, Lakewood.
Because
little plug.
Because a few months after I left, my small group from my church, Rec City in Columbus, they reached out to me and they're like, how are you doing? I said, I literally feel like I'm living through Exodus.
Yes.
I feel like I literally was in slavery to my relationship. Yes. I was enslaved, because it's all I knew. Yes. I was in slavery to myself. Yes. Above anything else, I was in slavery to myself since I was a child.
You're like mindset.
Because when I got in that relationship, I was 17 years old. So since high school, like I didn't know who I was. So I was in slavery to myself and in my depression and in my anxiety and my unworthiness and my not enoughness, if that's a thing. And
it's a word.
It is now. So I was a slave to that. And God brought me out. Like I clearly just heard him say, you can go and you'll be okay. I'm like, okay. Okay. All right, let's do it. and literally started packing up my house, like literally left in a week. And I felt like he parted so much for me.
Yes.
I mean, as I said, I hadn't worked in 5.5 years. I went to an interview, got it on the spot. He gave me money for a U-Haul, like my soon-to-be boss. I had no credit. I hadn't worked. I had no money, but yet this couple of a house, I had been like looking all day for places in my hometown, and I was so discouraged. And like last minute, my friend's like, "You should go check out this place." And I'm like, "No, like if I couldn't afford those, I'm definitely not going to be able to afford this." And it's just so crazy. I walked in and saw the place, like saw the finished walk-in basement. I was like, "Okay, gotta go. Bye. I can't afford this. Like we'll never be able to afford this." And he goes, "No, just take a look around." So I took a look around. I literally walked into the kitchen and I just started sobbing. And he probably was like,
"What is wrong with this woman?"
What? And I was like, "I just feel like God's calling me. Like I've got to like leave this marriage, and like I have 2 small kids. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. Like I don't know what I can afford." And he's like, "What can you afford?" I'm like, "No clue. I don't even have a job, but I need somewhere to live." And I wasn't even. He's like, "Just fill out an application." And I was like, "I don't have credit. I don't have this. Like I'm trying. I don't know." He goes, "Just fill it out."
Yeah.
And he called me not even a half hour later after talking to his wife, and he said there was people all day long that had been like looking at the place, couples that were like just wanted to live there so that they could save up for their like new house or like their wedding or whatever, that could definitely afford it no problem.
So you're like, "Well, crap, I'm not gonna freaking get this then."
Right. And I saw the applications like on the counter, like I saw a stack of them when I walked in, and I was like, whatever, I have no chance. But he called me and told me that and said, "But after talking to my wife, we just feel like God is leading you here." And he just gave it to me. They're like, "It's yours, you can move in next week."
I just got chills. My whole body just went cold.
And if that is not the Red Sea parting for me, that job just falling in my lap, my soon-to-be boss said, "You can start work in 3 weeks, take your time if you need longer than that, but I'm gonna start paying you today. And I will pay you every single day that we're open," which is 7 days a week at a salon. "Every day that we're open, I will pay you until you start working." So that was instant income. It was an instant place for my children to live, and money to be able to move. And if that wasn't God parting the Red Sea for me to be free from what I was living in,
then I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And after like a year of searching for churches, when I did come back here, which was super discouraging, I walked into King's Church. Everything said welcome home. And we were going through a Finding Freedom series based off the book of Exodus. And I was like, okay. Like I am where God is calling me to be.
Yes.
Even though I drive like an hour to get there, I'm exactly where God needs me to be. Yeah.
I always say this to people, like for people who watch this or listen to this who aren't Christians, I always say you don't know until you have your own experience.
Right.
I can only say so much to you. You can only say so much to someone.
Yeah.
Until God does something like that for you.
And then you're like, whoa.
And then people wonder why they're like, why do you tithe? Why do you worship? Why do you lift your hands? And it's like, because when God does something for you, okay, first of all, this is what I tell people. He did not have to die for any of us. Right. And he did. So that's just one thing. One thing he didn't have to do, but he goes above and beyond that.
Well, and it's like so easy, I think,
to rescue you.
For people to say like, he died for us. The end.
No.
But like, and growing up, like my grandma went to like this really strict Baptist church, and she still does. And she would tell me the Bible stories. She would read me the Bible stories. I believed in the Bible stories. I believed in Jesus. We prayed before we went to bed at night. We prayed before dinner.
Yeah. And
then that was it. Like we'd sit at church, we'd go, but I didn't have a relationship with Christ. So as an adult,
I just splashed water on my face, but amen. Amen.
The holy water. Whatever you need. May you be anointed
God's
today.
like, hey. Yeah.
Anyways, so I
Same.
grew up like believing in Jesus
But there was
and that he was
no-
the son of God, and I believe that.
because I didn't have an experience.
Right.
Everyone else was telling me these things. I didn't experience it for myself.
And not that like when I was going through the 10 years of depression and 10 years of not knowing myself and just becoming lost, like deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I didn't know he was there. I still believed in those like stories.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until he truly chased me down where I said, there's no other explanation.
Yeah.
There's no other.
It's not coincidence. It's not the universe.
You
It's not
can't.
the stars are aligned. It's not because I'm a Cancer.
Right. It's just, there's no other explanation besides Jesus' love for me
Yes.
that I am where I am.
And that is why I cannot listen to Reckless Love and not bawl.
Yeah.
Because I'm
I'm
not the
so
I'm the
undeserving.
one of the 99.
And that's
We all are.
And it's just crazy that like it's so true. Like there's how many people have ever been on this earth,
Yeah.
but yet he knew in my darkest day
What you needed.
that instead of death, I needed him to give me life.
Yeah.
And I do have audio on like my full testimony and stuff on my blog.
Yeah.
So I don't want to fully go into it. It's kind of deep, guys.
Listen to it.
But if you want to listen to it, it is on my blog. But he did.
Yeah.
And there's no other explanation for the life that I live now besides God's grace for me.
Mm-hmm. And I always like to say, because the part about you trying to get the house and like the stack of applications on the counter, all these other people who are qualified. God does not call the qualified. That's so many people get wrapped up, and I'm sure like you're feeling this way, like with your like hunt for like a job or a career. You're like, I was a stay-at-home mom. I'm not qualified, and to me, it's like, if God has a purpose for you, he will move you there.
Right.
Whether you're qualified, you weren't qualified to have that.
I've never wrote a book. I mean, even doing my blog, I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I might not sound like a good blogger, or I might, like, literally, I hated reading, hating writing. Like, I was good at math and science in high school, but, like, language arts was, like, I dreaded that class. Like, I hated that class. And I didn't finish college because I was terrified to write a paper. Terrified to write a paper. But yet here I am now in a published book. Here I am just sharing my heart. And like, it's not about like where I place my comma sometimes. It's just how I share my heart.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could pick me apart if you want on it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
but like,
same. Like
I'm not doing it for that.
I've never hosted a podcast. People say I say too much or like my speech is like whatever.
When I voice to text, I realize how many times I say like, and then I'm like I just I see how I talk, and I'm just.
But like Moses had a speech impediment. So he's like, God, you can't send me to Pharaoh. I can't even talk. I have a speech impediment. And God's like, shut the frick up. I'll give you a tongue. And then Moses kept complaining. And God didn't say, oh, I'm going to go with someone else because you're too much trouble. He said, fine. I still am going to use you. I still chose you. I'll pick your brother with you, Aaron, to like speak with you. So it's like, that's what people disqualify themselves before anybody else does or before God does. Like you're disqualifying yourself.
And I always did too. I'm like, this person, this random publisher and this random lady that I don't even know is like, no, your story needs to be here. And I was like, I don't have the money for that. Like, I don't have the money to put my story in your book.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, I'll fund it. And she did.
That's insane.
She actually I said, I don't have the time for it now. No, I'm too busy. So then first I said like I didn't have the money. Now I'm like, oh, I don't have the time. And she goes, I'll get you a ghostwriter. Which
didn't end up panning out anyway.
Did not really pan out. But she was nice. She was very nice. But I read what she wrote, and then I rewrote the whole thing.
But you know why? Because
it's my heart.
You were meant to write it anyway.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, like a couple weeks ago, that like I was like, God never wanted someone else to write it.
It was my
you to
heart.
write it. It was for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just exciting to see like where else it can go and where else like whatever I've been through, as I said, like if that can just reach one.
And that's, well, like getting back to what I was saying earlier about like what you, when you were starting your blog.
Yeah.
And I found out about it. I related so much to you because I knew you weren't one of these internet clout chasers. Oh, I'm trying to gain 1,000 followers. I'm trying to be an influencer.
And I'm still not.
And you're still not. And it's like, and that's what it gets hard because I catch myself sometimes like, oh, why does this only have 20 views on my YouTube? But it's like, Nicole, stop. Because I just had someone I talked to last week, a friend of mine, he said like, I have been listening to your stuff and it's just something about the way you talk. And he's like, I like needed to hear it. Yeah. And I said, that is the one person. That is the 1 out of the 99. I'm not God, but like, you know what I'm saying? It's like the same principle of like one lost sheep.
Right.
Maybe needed to hear one thing I said one time. And it's like, that's what matters at the end of the day.
And for me, like I even have like stay-at-home moms because I did have postpartum depression, and I do think that I was just depressed in the first place and it lingered for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think that just turned into straight depression. But I've been open about my postpartum depression and the struggles of like wanting to love your newborn baby. But when you don't love yourself, as much as I don't think I was a bad mom. I think I still like loved my child. I took care of my child.
Yeah.
But it was not the happy moment
that you thought.
That like you dream of your whole life when you hold your baby. It wasn't the, oh my gosh, I just love doing all these things. It's like, it was work. And it was hard and it was emotional and I was tired and I loved him. But I didn't understand why I wasn't happy still. And I've shared about that too, and just I've had so many people be like, I know we haven't talked since like middle school, but like I'm right there.
Yeah.
I have people that are like, I know I just like your baby pictures and you like mine on Facebook, but like you
are doing more for me.
You're the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now to love myself. Whether that's still like in their marriage, but like just searching up who they are.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wow.
It really like humbles you for a second.
Because I'm like, you know, I'm just living life. Like,
exactly. We're just speaking our truth. We're just being honest. And then someone tells you that. And it kind of gives you, not that like I want to equate myself to this level, but
I'm like, my life is hard.
I know, but it kind of gives you like a perspective on what celebrities feel as like a role model, because then you're like, holy crap, like someone's paying attention and someone puts that type of, I don't want to say like value, but almost like a value on you. And then you're like, wow,
like when that girl was like, I'm so proud to know you.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm like,
you don't even know how to respond to that.
I literally just had tears in my eyes because I'm like, God, like, they might not show me every day but like that just validates that like I'm leading the life. When she said I was a light no matter what I've gone through.
You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I was like, man, I'm a hot mess, girl. Like, you have no clue.
Have you ever?
I'm trying to be as real, open, and honest as the struggles that I'm in.
Yeah.
And that I am a struggle, like, for real. Like, I'm on the struggle bus right now. Like, this is the hardest season of my whole life. But it is the most rewarding season. And I hope that in my whole entire life, that I'll never forget what it felt like to live my now. I'll never forget what
oh, that's a quote. Oh, that's a quote.
I never want to forget what it's like sitting in my house with my 2 small children alone, reading them stories and just knowing that I'm doing everything I can to still embrace the now. And I never, later down in my life, if God gives me a new relationship, or I never want to take for granted how hard I'm working now, how difficult it is, so that I could always help somebody that's in this position.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy.
No. I don't know how you did it. I don't even know. I don't think I would have had the faith to do it. I would have been like, you always are like, well, this is why it won't work.
My why is because I saw I was the 99. He left the 99 for me.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
That's what I meant.
But if God was going to chase me and single me out, how could I not say yes when he was leading me to what he called me to do?
But that's, like, I was sharing with you, like, part of my testimony just the other week, and that's why I said, like, God literally, it was almost like he, like, a cartoon of, like, a little kid, like, in suspenders, and, like, the parents, like, pulling them back. That was literally God. He's like, you get your butt back here. Like, you're not going down this path. Like, you think you know what's best for you. Like, you have no idea.
And for me, like, I lived what I thought was going to be my life. Like, I did marry the guy that I wanted to marry. I had the children I wanted to have. I lived my life for what I thought my life was supposed to be like. And God was like, nope, I got something even better for you. Which is, like, sad. It's sad. But he wanted me to love myself first.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I truly would have never found my strength in myself if I didn't go through that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and, like, we even said today, like, we were talking about that, like, redemptive like, feeling after coming out of something. And, like, I had even said, like, if I didn't go through what I went through in the past year, would I have picked up my camera and started doing photography, which now might actually be, like, a source of potential, like, income for me, like, in freelancing, and, like, I'm part of this creative community now, and, like, just, like, everything that's come from that. And, like, I got to meet you because I picked up that camera and I said, I'm starting out, let's do portraits. Like, I don't know. I don't know what our relationship, I mean, I'm sure we would have still met, but, but not, like, how we did, because I was able to, like, have that opportunity to be like, hey, like, if you need pictures, like, let me take pictures. And so it's like that.
And I remember, like, sitting in my classroom at work, like, all the kids were asleep, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And you're like, wait, really?
I know. I was like, wait, really? Like,
you're like, wait, you really trust me to do this?
I know.
And I was like, I do. Like, I'm sure you're gonna be great.
And I was like, those are the first portraits, like, I have, like, really ever taken outside of, like, a workshop I did. And it's just like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I hope she likes these. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I was like, I hope I look cute enough.
You did. But it was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and she's like trusting me with these pictures. So, like, but now, like, I'm more comfortable, of course, because, like, I've done it, I've like shot more and, like, everything. And that's the thing, like, in 8 months, like, photography has allowed me to see tangible growth, because I look at that first portrait, and this was the craziest thing. We had, like, a workshop May 4th, and that was the first, oh my gosh, not May, March 4th, and we took portraits. That was, like, the workshop, and I looked at it, and then on August 4th, we had another workshop, and we were doing portraits of strangers. So I literally was walking up to strangers at Edgewater and saying, like, hey, like, can I, like, take your picture, like, da-da-da, kind of explain. This one guy was, like, so excited. I took his portrait, and it was, to the date, it had been however many months that is, like, 5 or something, from March to August. And I looked, how many months is that?
Like 5.
5. We're, like, counting real quick. And I was like, holy crap. Just the growth as, like, a creative, like, as a photographer, like, tangibly. And then, like, I got that email from iHeart on Monday saying that my podcast was on iHeartRadio. are you, and like, you want to talk about like being qualified, like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, I don't have
We're winging it, guys.
I don't have the best mic, like, I don't have the best equipment, I don't have the best camera, like, and you give yourself all these excuses of like, no one's gonna listen, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, like, I'm too busy.
Well, and that's when, like, even in my book, in that chapter, I don't have the whole book, I have a chapter in the book. My biggest thing that I've always struggled with was being enough. I didn't think I was enough as a wife. I didn't think I was enough as a mom. And I still struggle with that. Like, am I doing the right thing for them? And I know I'm not alone in that. I think every parent goes through that. But, like, am I enough? And, like, even job searching, am I enough for this job? Am
I qualified?
Yeah, but God's ultimately going to place you where He wants you to be.
Yeah.
And you learn that through Him you are enough. Yeah. You're enough for Him, and when you are enough in Him, He leads you out to exactly where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. Like, we were talking about Exodus earlier, which I love that story because I referenced that, like, in the past year of, like, the hardest months for me. But my book was, like, Jeremiah, and I, like, read that thing, like, I was taking notes, I was highlighting, I had, like, sermon topics coming to me. I was like, what am I, Stephen Furtick? But, like,
No, you Big Nikki.
I'm Big Nikki. I love you. I was like, the biggest thing that came out of that for me, it was like Exodus to, like, resurrection, pretty much.
Yeah.
In, like, the sense of, like, God will, like, pull you out, and, like, the whole way through the desert, because Jeremiah, I think, like, picks up in, like, now they're being shipped off to kind of, like, exile. Oh, that's what it was. It was, like, exile to, like, redemption. But it's the same premise of, like, Exodus, and it's, like, the people, like, don't want to go, and, like, all this stuff. And it's, like, you're fighting it every inch of the way, and you're like, how?
Right.
And you're keeping yourself locked out of your blessings because you're not trusting.
And even, like, in the desert part, like, okay, I'm like, whoo, yeah, you're leading me out Red Sea. And then it's, like, 6 months sets in, and you're like,
I'm still in the desert.
What? Now I did the thing, and now I'm getting, like, worried again because that was, like, a good adrenaline rush for a few months. Like, yeah, I'm kicking butt, I'm doing this, I'm gonna be a single mom, I got this job.
And then reality, like,
now what?
You have no food, you have no water, your shelter keeps moving every 3 days.
Are you still gonna pay my rent, God? Like, still? Like, come on.
6 months later?
Yeah, and that's where it's like being in the waiting and living in the waiting. Because I prayed for years, as I mentioned, to get to that point where I was strong enough.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I was strong enough. And now I'm in the season that I prayed for so long. I prayed for this. I'm living in my prayers.
Living in your pasture on the way to the palace.
But
watch that vlog if you haven't.
But now,
yes.
What's the next step?
Yes.
Now I'm praying like, okay, now this is hard.
Yeah.
Okay, like now for me, I'm going on year 2. I'm not in month 6, and I've grown so much since then.
But so, like,
I'm going into, but now I'm like, okay, now I've been doing this for 2 years, God. I need more help.
Yeah.
And I hate it because I sound selfish.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, you've provided for me every single month, but I need more from you.
I need more.
Because now I'm tired. Now that adrenaline rush of me kicking butt is gone. And now I'm tired. This is hard.
You're tempted to go back to what you were enslaved to.
Girl. Oh,
we're preaching.
I've had moments, and I've had people say,
preaching.
I've had people say, have you ever thought about, like, trying to get back into your marriage? Have you ever? And I'm like, you know what?
I wish y'all could see my face right now.
Financially,
absolutely,
I would be so much better off. But have I questioned what God has done in my life? And have I questioned if the choice I made was wrong? And have I questioned and doubted what I've done in 2 years and question what God has done for me not once. I will never think that that was the wrong choice. I will never question going back.
Yeah.
And I will never question that God is going to see me through this season too.
Yeah. So like never questioning going back because you know it was the right thing.
And I haven't. And like that's where even in the Bible when they're like, okay, like I want to go back to that life.
And God,
as I said, like financially.
Yeah. Well, that's what they were looking for was like security. They're like, we had food in Egypt. We had food.
But my answer is like, really, honestly, I've never doubted that God has done the right thing in my life.
Yeah.
And I think even maybe reading that in the Bible has made me be like, girl, don't be like that.
Yeah.
Don't be like that.
Don't be like them.
I never want to discredit what he's done. Because although it's still hard 2 years later, he's not done. No matter what he's done, he's still not done. And there's still another season.
Yes.
And there's still more opportunities. And I think that what I hold strong to is that no matter the heartbreak I dealt with, no matter the depression I lived in, I still have hope that God has so much life ahead of me that even though it's hard now, I'm excited for that future. And like I do struggle sometimes with saying I'm excited for the future, but am I excited for the now? Because like now kind of is like hard.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for the now. I appreciate the now. I love my kids little, and I know seasons later I'm gonna wish that they were this small. I'm gonna wish that I was here again. But so I do appreciate it, but I'm very hopeful for a future where 2.5 years ago, I was not hopeful for even the next day. And that's like the hard truth of it, is that I literally am alive today.
Yeah.
Because God didn't allow that to happen to me.
Yeah.
And I know that
because he needed you here.
Yeah. And I know sometimes it's hard. My uncle, that's how he passed away. So sometimes I struggle saying that, knowing that there are people that have lost people, and like, well, then why did God allow that? Because I even feel bad saying that to my grandma.
Yeah.
But
I don't think God necessarily allows it, if that makes sense. I think we talked today about like the devil will literally hold you hostage in your own mind and your own thoughts. I always talk about like building up spiritual immunity, like how you need like immunity in your body to not get sick.
Yeah.
You need like spiritual immunity because the devil is constantly on your back.
Yeah.
I think even as a follower, sometimes more so, he is in your ear, in your head, on your back 24/7. And if you don't know how to, I just had this thought, it was not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, when Noah was doing his sermon, all of a sudden, like, and I'll probably do like a podcast on this, but all of a sudden, like, these two words came into my mind, and it was occupied territory. And it was God, like, speaking to me in that moment saying, this is occupied territory, so you tell the devil to get the frick out.
Yeah.
Because he has no, like, foothold here.
Yeah.
Like, you're mine. Like, this is occupied. Like, he can't have this. Like, he can try. And I was like, dang. I said, like, I needed that because I was in my head. I was in my anxiety. I was in my worry of, like, what if?
Yeah. And I still, like, I mean, day-to-day anxiety of, like, rushing around to work, to school, to their sports, to all these things that we have going on. And it's so funny that, like, you know, he can still occupy that mind space. And then my son that's 6.5 will go, Mom, you just ran inside to get your keys. Then you ran inside and got your purse. You ran inside and forgot my backpack.
Yeah. Ooh, the sun is out.
Ooh, I know.
Ooh, the sun is out.
God's got you, Mom. Calm down. And I'm like,
God bless Camden.
Okay. I'm like, God just literally used my 6-year-old child.
Yeah. You can keep talking.
To remind me that like his space, my headspace should be God's.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I need to constantly do is like to look up and realize like that song we sing, like my eyes above what it looks like, my faith beyond what it feels like.
Or Look Up, Child.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
One of my favorite pictures I took of you.
Yeah, and I catch my even 3-year-old singing sometimes. Different worship songs, because in the car I like to listen to worship with them. And I'll be like having a panic attack while I'm doing my dishes, and I'll listen to her in her room singing those songs to her baby dolls, and I'm like, okay, look up, child.
Yeah.
So that's always a good reminder too, and how he uses that.
Yeah. I think God definitely uses, as much as like they can like drain you sometimes, it's also like to refill you of that reminder.
And they drain me.
You're like, oh yeah. I love your story. I love your little family. They're beautiful. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Kate's like,
I just want people to know that they're enough. Like, you are
enough.
You are so enough. You just have to get to that point where you don't have a choice but to believe it.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I didn't have a choice besides saying yes to Christ.
I always say that people have to come to the end of themselves, because until you come to the end of yourself and you literally throw your hands up and say, I cannot do this. I cannot handle this.
Yes, and I would even say, even now there's moments where I like break down in this season, and I'll just be like literally doing my dishes, and I'll break down and just fall to my knees and cry and say like, God, I can't do this on my own.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're here, but how do I keep on 2 years later maintaining this? Like, at this point, it's just hard.
Yeah.
And even looking back 2 years ago, when I was like, I definitely can't do this anymore, I think the difference now is like, I know who my God is. I know what he can do now. And
someone put her out. She's on fire.
And, I even told a girlfriend of mine that is starting her own creative photography business, and she doesn't feel enough sometimes. And I'm like, you have passions in your heart
for a reason,
because God is leading you down to your purpose. And I feel like my passion right now is just to let others know what God's done in my life.
Yeah.
Because just as the Bible says you're enough, God still works miracles in people's lives to change them.
Yeah.
And to show others that they are enough too.
Yes.
If he can use me.
Yeah.
And what I've been through, there's a reason why I got pregnant when I wasn't married at 20 years old.
Amen.
Because it's something I wanted.
But that's what I love about God, is he takes, like, even what you did that was outside of his will for you, he's like, well, let's get you back over here.
Right. And those things happened because he had a plan and a purpose.
Yeah.
For me doing those things. And as much as I would think like I'm not enough for Christ, like I got pregnant when I wasn't married, when I was young, like I'm still enough for him. And if I'm still enough for him, it doesn't matter what you've done, you're enough for him.
Yeah.
And if I can just, as I said, use what I've been through and find anointing in that, instead of
saying, why me, why me, why me?
Right. There's a reason for that. And I'm just lucky enough to have gotten to meet people in his kingdom that see that and give me the opportunity to share it.
Yeah.
Like you, and
Aw, my heart.
I'm excited.
Yes, me too. Something that we like have discussed, and something like people say to me in like being enough, is like not being fake about it. And it's like being so open and like putting your life out there. Like some people don't understand why like we do what we do. I mean, we clearly said like why we feel called to do it, like for one person.
And it's not for the clout, and it's
Yeah.
for being real.
Yeah.
I think, and I touch on this in my speeches and stuff, is that people nowadays like say like, oh, you're fake, or they don't want you to be fake. But then once you open up your life and your real life,
And everything's like, not sunshine and rainbows.
Then they're like, wait, we didn't need to hear that.
Yeah.
We didn't need to know that about you.
Yeah.
And like that's ruining my like look on you, and I don't like it. Like for me, I married my high school sweetheart. We had a son, like then we had a daughter, we got married. Well, we got married, then we had our daughter.
And some people would be like, that's perfect.
I had people that we knew and friends of ours like want the relationship that we had.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't.
Because you don't know what went on.
You don't know how I feel every day.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because when I decided to leave, there's family members of mine that were like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That was going on? Or you felt that way? Like, really? And it's just, once I started opening up for myself. I mean, I started my blog as just for freedom for myself. It was very therapeutic for me. And when I started doing that, there were a lot of people, especially in my family, that were like,
So sorry.
You okay?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people in my family that, and close friends of mine that were like, I don't think you should share that. And I'm like, well,
people have told me the same thing.
You don't understand how it's helping somebody else.
Yes. Even like my mom told me that growing up, like when she was younger, no one from like her mom's generation talked about periods. So my mom literally got her period and like she didn't know what the heck was happening because her mom, like it was like so hush hush, and it's kind of like the stigma that I think it's getting better now, but the stigma that was on mental health, like depression, anxiety, like nobody wanted to talk about it. But then it's like you realize there's thousands of people going through what you're going through.
And what, like last year there was that huge like hashtag Me Too movement. Yeah. And a lot of women were sharing sharing their stories. Well, I shared a story that happened to me before I had my son, and people were like, stop talking about it. And even like my mom said, like, I guess like my generation and a generation before mine, like they're so quiet,
closed-lipped,
and I just think that that's fine if that's how some people want to live. Yeah. But I feel like, especially on social media, I lived such a fake life for so long to make people think that I was perfect and that I was okay and that living 2 hours away, my life was great. My children are cute. They are cute. They're still cute.
They're adorable.
But the pictures of us, if it's a family of us smiling, knowing how I truly felt inside. Even pictures we took 2 months before the day I wanted to kill myself. They're fake. My life now, I'm never gonna live a fake life. As I said, I don't want a fairy tale relationship that I have to lie to people about, that I have to feel like is this fairy tale, because life is not a fairy tale. Life is real, it's raw, and like that's what I want to be. Yes. And you know, relationships are hard. They're not going to be perfect, but you need to find somebody that will live an unperfect relationship with you. Someone that chooses you, but you don't need to fake it for people. And I did that for so long. And I think that once I did start opening up about my truth and what God's done in my life, that's what led me to so much freedom.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that I truly am enough, because I don't have to hide my life for everybody else.
Yeah. It's tempting to post all the good and the glam, but I think our generation is becoming more like they want authenticity,
but they don't.
Because like you said, as soon as I say
I'm tired, today I am struggling, today as a single mom, I am just exhausted and my laundry's piling up and I just don't know if I can grasp today like I want.
Yeah.
That's me complaining. For me, that's not me complaining. For me, that's letting another mom that's feeling that same exact way today know that she's not alone in that.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, at home, I've got a lot of clean laundry that I gotta fold. But
you are no longer enslaved to the laundry basket.
I'm not a slave to my laundry basket.
Blog post.
But like, I'm not, and I just want other moms to know that they don't have to be either, and that they can have a hard day, and in that hard day still thank Christ for the life that we have.
Joy in something.
I'm still extremely grateful for this season and this life that the Lord's given to me, but some days I am tired, and some days that's okay.
That's all of us, because like you said, like, and I talk about this in like my Pasture to the Palace vlog, but it's like you are living in what you prayed for, myself included.
Oh yeah.
But yet you're sometimes more stressed, more drained, and you're I was praying for this and now I want out of it.
I know.
And it's so...
But some days I do, some days people, I will have, even myself, and I feel like even God puts thoughts in my mind like, look at what we've done together. And I kind of sit back and like laugh about it and like giggle. I'm like, oh, I really did this. Like God and I really did this together. I really said yes. I really jumped when he told me to jump.
Yeah.
I really did do what he said, and I can't believe I've done that. And I don't want to say pride so much.
No.
But it is a pride that I have. It's a joy that I have of knowing that I said yes to Christ and he really did. Like, I really am here.
Yes.
Which is something that even 3 years ago, I would have never told you.
Oh, yeah.
4 years ago, when I was getting married, you could have never told me that I would have a daughter, hate myself, hate my life, get divorced, and be where I am now.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. That's what
It's crazy.
That's what I said.
And that's just in 4 years.
Yeah, I said 5 years ago, like, coming out of high school, if you would have told me, like, I would, like, have done the things and be doing the things I'm doing.
Girl, 10 years ago when I graduated high school, if you would have told me that I would have had a baby at 20 years old, would have dropped out of college, would have gotten married, had another baby, gotten divorced. What?
Like, no.
You go tell that to a high school student right now, and they're gonna be like, no?
No way, bro.
No, I was such a good student in high school.
Same.
I didn't apply myself in college. I got wrapped up in a relationship. I got wrapped up into my depression that I didn't even really knew I had then, in my self-doubt. As I said, my fear of writing. And being worthy enough and enough to write a paper that was gonna get me a good grade. And I am in a book.
Her
talking about my worth.
I cannot even.
Talking about that I am, that's what my chapter is about. It's about being enough. Juggling my circus that I'm living in, but being enough in it.
God is good. If you're listening to this and you don't think God is good.
It's just so full circle of what he's done and what he's continuing to do, and I just feel like this is just the beginning of what God's gonna do.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
For me,
No doubt.
it's insane.
Yeah. Well, I guess I look at it too, not that I've never had a fear of like speaking or being on camera. I've always kind of been like that person where I was like okay with it.
Yeah.
But I never, like in my adolescent years, was confident enough in myself. I was constantly conforming to what I had to do, what I had to wear, what I had to say to like fit. And I never felt like I truly fit. And then it was like, you know, God like pulled me by my suspenders back. And like after that moment and like ever since then, it's just been continuously more and more and more. I'm like, I don't care what you think about me. I don't care if you like me. I don't care. And it's almost sometimes to the point, like, maybe not healthy, but I literally give two craps what someone thinks about me.
Yeah.
Because I think for so long, I cared. And, like, that's the thing, too, is, like, I feel like when you talk about, like, your past, like, couple years, like, when you were still, like, either getting married or, like, were married, you had so much of, like, your value and your worth and your identity coming from other people. And and some people, I feel like naturally their personality, they need more of that than others.
And I'm such a too, as we said,
totally
that I need
fine.
that. And
but it gets to the point sometimes where it's almost like unhealthy, because now you literally are validating yourself based on what other people have said to you, and you have no self-validation.
And I did get horrible grades in English, and I think that's why I'm like, oh, I can't, like, what
so
do
like,
I
can't
have
do
that's
this.
enough for this? And I'm writing, but what's funny is what a lot of that I do now is speaking, and it's funny how God used this chatty little girl that I was growing up. I mean, I would go to the grocery store and be like, hi, my name's Kate. My parents got divorced when I was 3 months old. Here's my life story. Blah, blah, blah. And it's just funny that, like, this chatty little girl can now still be this chatty adult, but speaking and being open and honest about life and God.
Yeah.
I still, like, that chattiness that I've always had has become a gift that God's given me to share my heart.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like my mom and everyone, like, they would be like, oh, you're so good at like public speaking. Like, I was one of the valedictorians, like, for my high school, so I had to like give a commencement speech, and like everyone was like, oh, like, you do so well. Like, I just presented the other day in my class, my professor emailed me and was like, oh, you spoke with such authority. And then like 2 days later, I did another presentation. The teacher left a comment of like, oh, you speak like so like well and like authoritatively. And I never thought of myself like that. But then it's like, okay, well, like, this makes sense to me now. Like, I can like turn a camera on and like talk and run a podcast. What's funny though
is like this, I feel super comfortable.
That's what
maybe
she's
because
like,
I feel comfortable.
I was
with
like,
you.
okay, Kate, this is what we do, and she's like, I got it, I'm good.
But when I speak and do events, I mean, I feel like I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh Lord. But then it's like the aftermath of when I do have women who I don't know and I'll probably never see again come up to me crying, telling me that they needed it. I mean, I had a woman one time just like come and hug me. She was like my grandma's age. And she came and hugged me and looked at me sobbing and said, I'm not gonna tell you specifics, but you are the answer to so many of my prayers. I needed this.
Yeah.
Just pray for me.
Can you?
And I'm like, me?
I'm unqualified, God. Who are you sending? I'm unqualified. And he's like, yes, you are for all those reasons, but I'm
you
gonna
are
give you everything
unqualified,
you need.
but you are enough to do it.
Yep. And I'm gonna give you the tools that you need to do.
And I always say, like, when I pray, like, shut me off. Yeah. Shut me off, because I don't know what I'm doing. And just give me you.
Turn me off.
Turn me off and give me you. Because I might not go 100% and say exactly what my speech is. Like, I might go on a little tangent about something.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I needed to say that. And it's just, even before that, when I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know. Yeah. And then God's like, no, look at all these people that needed to hear you.
Yeah. And I used you. I chose you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And I'm still like, really though?
Yeah. You're like, me? Little old me?
Yeah. I'm just out here living life, trying to do the best as I can.
But so many people are. That's the relatability portion. That's why I tell people, I'm like, even if you're not a Christian, like, you know, watch my videos. Like, it's kind of like how I say it, or like whatever, because it's like, the relatability factor of like, I'm not a perfect human, and we're all just trying to do the best we can do.
Right.
Like, that's all we can do as people, is like try.
And all I try to do is listen every day to like a voice of, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. For sure.
Even for dinner. What are we gonna do?
That is the daily struggle in this house too. Like,
I don't know, God, just give me an answer, because I'm so indecisive on where am I supposed to go? What's my next career move? God, we'll figure it out.
You know, there's so many things, like, I'm gonna have to follow up in like podcasts down the road, but it's like, with me graduating in May, so many people are like, what are you gonna do? Or I had a friend ask me, she's like, Nicole, aren't you worried or anxious about like finding a job or something? Yeah. But I missed the opportunity to say what I should have said, and like God kind of like hit my heart like after, and he's like, what the frick, like you should have said, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, because I missed my opportunity, because like how I responded wasn't wrong or untruthful, but I really should have just said how I really feel, of like, God will take care of it.
Well, what's funny is I just went back to college. I started college all over again. 10 years ago I didn't do so hot.
Proud.
So now on top of juggling everything else, I just started going back to school.
I know she like messaged me one day. She said, I'm gonna start school, and I went, and I'm like about to be finishing school, and I'm like, oh, I am praying.
I have people having anxiety attacks, panic attacks for me.
Yeah.
Like, on top of everything else, what in the world are you doing?
Yeah.
And I've had friends say, like, you don't have to do everything. I know you want to prove that you can do everything,
but you don't have to.
But you don't have to. Are you sure? But like, I've really felt God like call me into ministry.
It's something you need to do for you.
Yeah, I want to know that I can finish it.
Yeah.
You know, I was told that I couldn't. And so I want to for myself, and maybe halfway through, God's going to call me into ministry.
So take this, haters.
Right? So I just feel like God can call anybody into ministry, and they don't have to have a degree. So if at a certain point that's where God's going to lead me, then he can say, hey, you don't need to finish school. I'm still going to provide for you. You're still going to succeed. But for right now, I feel like God's led me to go for ministry and for communications. And so in doing that, people are like, so what do you want to do when you graduate?
Oh.
I'm like, 4 years ago, I was getting married, didn't have my daughter, and look at me now.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what God's going to do in my life in 4 years. You don't need to know this second what God's going to do for you in May.
Yeah.
Because he already knows.
Yeah.
But really, like, you don't need to know.
Yeah.
I didn't need to know that I'd be here now.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that he led me here.
Yeah.
So in 4 years, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what I'm having for dinner tomorrow. I don't need to know what I'm doing in 4 years.
Because
or a year, 6 months.
Yeah, because the fact of the matter is, you can plan. You know better than anyone. You can plan all you
I had a baby.
And God's gonna be like, nope.
I had a baby. There's a birth plan. It does not go as planned. And after that happens, you're like, life in general is just like this. And just don't even. I mean, I think it's great to have goals, and I think it's great that I think it's great that I'm going back to school. But in general, God is gonna lead me to wherever he wants me to be, and that's where I'm going to be placed.
Yeah. You know, my campaigns teacher, we're doing like this campaign project, and he said, like, don't be like married to your ideas, because like ultimately what's going to happen is like you have these ideas of like, oh, okay, this is how the campaign's going to be like laid out, this is what we're going to do, and like one thing's going to happen to like throw like a wrench and like completely like reverse like maybe your target audience like actually doesn't behave that way, so now everything that you were trying to do to change that behavior needs to change. So that's why he's like, don't be so married to your ideas. And like, I am a planner, so like I need to remind myself, like, don't be so married to your plans. And like, people have always asked me, I think it's so cultural to have like, oh, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I was listening to an interview with Kanye, and they said, what's your 20-year plan?
I'll send it to you. But I got asked at the chiropractor. Like, it was on my questionnaire, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
What? Like,
That was a questionnaire, like, on the back of it, and I said, further my relationship with Christ,
yep.
have decent children. Do your best to just raise them to
And
be like,
happy.
all right. I said, have a golden retriever. Can I write that on my 10-year plan?
Yes, girl.
And
Can I?
I was
even
like,
do that?
I guess a house would be nice. But, like, I want to do God's calling in my life.
Exactly.
And I literally wrote those, like, 4 things.
Yeah.
Be a better Christian.
Yeah.
Have decent children. I'm like, you do what you can.
Yeah.
You do the best you can, and they end up, how they're gonna end up.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
have decent children.
Yeah.
Have a golden retriever, and do God's will in my life. And I wrote 4 things, and left the other ones blank. And I was like, because 10 years from now, my life's not guaranteed in 10 years.
Yeah.
I just need to do what God's calling me to do today.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. And there again,
And still be excited for what He's gonna do later on.
I don't think that it's bad to have goals. Like, I know,
Right.
like, eventually I would love to get married, but am I going to, like, kill myself to, like, be like, I have to be married by the time I'm 24, or, like these people who have, like, these crazy... Kate's like, I'm gonna pray over your life right now.
I've been there, done that.
I know. But that's what I'm saying, because it's like,
But I did what I thought
was best
I was supposed
to be doing. Yeah.
And I did lead with my heart at the time,
Not God's voice.
not God's voice.
Lord Jesus knows how many times I've
Because
done that.
God's gonna flip your life,
Yep.
but
That's-
ultimately
yeah.
you'll be where you are. And at the end of the day, no matter what that outcome is, you're still enough for His grace.
Exactly. And, like, that's the thing I love too, is, like, not only is it, like, grace and, like, salvation from sins, but something, like, recently is, like, it's, like, saving you, like, He's already taken care of the shame.
Oh yeah.
Shame will keep you from God like no other.
Well, and even too from like your freedom, like I could be ashamed that I got pregnant at 20. I could be ashamed that I'm divorced and a Christian,
Because
which
that's
is a hard pill to swallow. It is so hard meeting other Christians and me being like, oh yeah, I'm a divorced mama too.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you didn't work on that marriage?
Yeah.
I did work on that marriage, and it just didn't work for me.
Amen.
But I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah.
It's who I am, and it's who God, God uses what you've been through for
Yes.
your story
Yeah.
and to save others.
Yes.
And I'm not the only one that got married at that age. I'm not the only one that got pregnant at that age. There's
Yeah.
people that got pregnant way younger than me, and
Yeah.
God has used them,
Yes.
and it's not shameful. It's
No.
my story.
Yeah.
It's not shameful. It's my story.
No, not at all. We're the Christian community in general is so quick to judge. I think we always have been. It's like that classic, like, you throw the first stone story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so many of us. I know that there's been times in my life, someone said something at small group today that made me think of this, but I didn't say it. But just the fact of, like, sometimes I feel like He might have you go through something to almost just make you understand other people more. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Because I said, like, in one of my recent videos, I was like, hey, like, I have had bouts with anxiety, and I didn't even know what that was 3 years ago, or like
Yeah.
what that felt like. And I would read on social media, like, people being like, oh, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, and I was like, it's not that I, like, didn't believe them, but it was like so many people were saying it where I'm like, okay, are you just almost like crying wolf? Like, what is this, like, that everyone's going through? And I
Yeah.
had no relatability to those
Right.
things. And then it was like, I mean, long story short, I went on, like, this birth control pill, like, to regulate my stuff, and it wrecked me. I had probably one of the worst side effect symptoms that, like, anyone probably would ever experience
Yeah.
on this pill. And part of that, it gave me anxiety, but I think it almost jump-started in, like, my body, like, anxiety. Because even once I was off of it, I was still dealing with, like, these symptoms of it. And I, like, was like, whoa, I get it. Like, I get it now. And I think, and, like, honestly, I don't know if there's any other reason that season of my life happened other than for God to say, stop being so judgmental of these people, because you haven't experienced
We
it.
reached on this a few weeks ago in small group where you think everyone's perfect and people make themselves look perfect.
Yeah.
And then when their life doesn't go like you thought their life was supposed to go, and you're like, hey. Like, and that's been me. Like, I got divorced, and there's people, like, were, like, so judgmental, but now I see people that I thought were so perfect going through the same thing as me. And not that I think it's
not funny
by any means.
No.
But I can relate to them, and, like, where before maybe I was like, wow, like, they kind of went kind of on the wild side or whatever. Like, I know how they feel.
Yeah.
I know how they feel.
Yeah.
And we all go through that, but it leads you
to be more understanding and, like, empathetic, I think. Yeah. And I think the same happens with other people with, like, something you go through. Like, they might go through something similar.
Oh, yeah.
And then they, like, that's what I, like, not that I ever posted anything, like, to someone's page, like, oh, you're fake. Like, never, like, would I say that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like I want to apologize to these people for just my thoughts.
Right.
Because I didn't know. And that's what I said, like, and it's the same thing with God. Like, until you experience it, you don't understand why, like, you're throwing your hands up in the shower, you know, on a Tuesday.
Okay, God.
I'm like, hey,
I don't care where I am right now, but
so
you just did something to me.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, you're so good. Like, you have nothing to do but worship, but in the sense of, like, other things too, it's like you don't know what that person experienced until you have experienced.
Right.
I think that's empathy and sympathy in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But, like, with being so judgmental, like, people who maybe haven't been divorced, or maybe honestly sometimes I feel like the people that might give you the most backlash are the ones that maybe realize that they were never brave enough to leave. And they look at you, because I know I've had this feeling, of course not with divorce.
Well, and
but
I've had people
been,
say, like,
jealous.
oh, you didn't think that my marriage was hard and I stayed.
Yeah. But it might
It's different.
It is different. But it might almost be like a jealousy thing, because maybe their situation was very similar to yours, but they just never left.
Well, all I know is that I clearly heard God tell me to leave.
And you know when it's...
And that, at the end of the day, led me to the life that I have now. And that's between me and God.
Amen. Amen.
So people might not understand your choices, and they might not understand your why. But as long as God knows your why, and you know that you're doing it for Christ, that's all the enough that you need.
Yeah.
You don't need other people's approval. I did not get a lot of approval when I left my marriage.
It's not like you checked with
from my
everyone.
friends, not from my family, not from everyone on social media, not from anybody around me.
Yeah. And it's not like you texted everyone was
But
like,
I knew,
hey, you think I should do this? No.
it was very controversial, me leaving my marriage. But because God said yes, I said yes.
Amen. That's good. That's a good word. Okay, so shout out to everyone who made it through this whole thing, but it's so good.
I appreciate you.
We appreciate you so much. I saw this thing on another podcast, so I listened to Black with No Cream. It's like for creators. It's Beyonce's videographer like does it, and it's like amazing. He's like the most humble like person. I love it. Anyway, if you're a creator, go check them out. But they do this thing at the end of like podcasts. I've never done one this long, but theirs are usually long, like when he interviews people. to like go on like your social media and like comment like with a hashtag. So like you pick the hashtag and then like just comment like, so we know that like they've listened all the way to the end.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's cool. So what is your Instagram name?
It's Chaos with Kate.
Chaos with Kate. And what do you want the hashtag to be?
What should we have the...
You said, maybe when you said it, I thought of this. It was
Mhm.
like, turn me off.
Yeah.
Hashtag turn me off. Because you don't want it to be like something that everyone would use,
Yeah.
but something like specific to this.
Okay.
So go on Chaos with Kate on Instagram,
Hashtag.
hashtag turn me off.
Yeah.
And if we see that you comment that you're the OG, make sure you read Kate's blog.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow. You can follow this podcast on iHeart. I think you can join it on Spotify. I'm still figuring Spotify out. And then make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube. If you don't, it's under Nicole Merlino. I can't change it because it's like my email. So I can't change it to Little Talks with Big Nikki, because then like if anyone gets an email from me, instead of my name, it'll be Little Talks with Big Nikki. And that's already my profile picture.
Right.
It's the profile of the graphic, so it's funny. Make sure you guys follow me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
This girl, guys. She's going places.
Yeah, so is Kate. We're on the come up. I love surrounding myself with people who love Jesus and who are on the come up. Like, we're grinding, but we're also relaxing and resting. There's like a balance.
I try.
We try.
I try.
Hashtag I'm not a slave to the laundry basket.
Hashtag that should be our hashtag. Not a slave to the laundry basket. That should be another day.
Yeah, that'll be another discussion. We'll have to have you back for sure, because we have we talk.
We can talk for forever.
We can talk for forever if you guys haven't noticed. But yeah, do you have anything closing you want to say to the people?
I just want to thank you
Aw,
for
you're welcome.
like having me be here and allowing me to like share, and for listening for this long.
Yes.
It's an honor to be a part of what you're doing.
Aw, it's an honor to have you be a part of what I am doing.
I love her.
That'll be the thumbnail picture. All right, y'all. So you know how it goes. New episode will be up not next week, but the week after, every other week. Make sure that you're listening, following along. Comment if you like what we're talking about, have anything to say, want to hear from you. Like and subscribe, and I think that does it for us.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Have a beautiful week, and we will see you next time.